Hi everyone, we're back with another video today and this is going to be a fun one. So what we're going to be looking at today is the thickness of your paints and how that affects the final results. So whether your paint is too thin or too thick, your outcome's going to be completely different. I'm going to be showing you a couple of examples where when I was first starting out I didn't get my levels completely right, so I have tons of failures down there which I will go through. One's when the paint's been too thick, and when it's been too thin it can give off horrible results. Sometimes it may work in your favour, sometimes being a little bit thicker can make the colours stand out a little bit more. Being a bit thinner they can mould together quite nicely, but if you don't have the right colours moulding together it can be a mess, which I've got one down there which I will show you. Or if it's too thick we get horrible cracking, which can ruin a beautiful piece that you've made and you won't know until it's drying, and then you think, oh no, this gorgeous piece that I absolutely love has got all cracks down it. Some people may like it, it gives it texture, but personally I prefer it just a nice flat finish. An example of a painting that's too thin would be one like this. It was meant to be a gorgeous pastel piece and we've come out with mud. Hopefully you can see on the camera where it's separated just here. My hands are very messy because we just done the gesso on the canvases that we will be using today. But so you can see that it's gone very thin, it's just run down the sides, and all those beautiful colours that I had have moulded into one and gone extremely muddy. So that's what happens when your paint is too thin. Also, we've lost these beautiful cells that were meant to come through. They've just vanished. So thin isn't great. Then you get pieces that are too thick, like this. So if I zoom in, you might be able to see there the horrible cracking that's happened. It doesn't spread as nice, it can be a bit gloopy. It just doesn't work. Again, we've lost so many of those beautiful cells because the silicone oil hasn't been able to come up through. So another example of something that's just too thick. Didn't work, don't like it. So you can see how drastically your paint consistency can completely change a piece. And it's really upsetting if you've done one and you love the look of it and then you come back and it's got cracking or it's separated or you haven't got those nice cells that you wanted. It can be really disheartening and you've just wasted a whole bunch of paint on it. So those are just a couple of examples that I've done that have been too thin or too thick. We don't want it, we don't like it, it's not good results, and it is a waste of your resources. I've lost a lot of paint over not getting my consistencies right. So if you are running your own business, it's not cost effective. You can lose a lot of your product, a lot of money over this, which I've done. So if I can get you to save your paints now and try to avoid losing money, I hope I can do that for you. We're going to be looking at the different consistencies today. We'll be using these three paints. We've got beautiful fluorescent pink, we've got the Arteza Pearl Electric Blue, and a nice deep violet there as well. We're going to be using identical colours on each painting that we do. So for our first canvas, we will be doing the paint mixture too thin, so we're going to be adding too much water. Second one, perfect amount of water. Last one, not enough water. We are also going to look at how your silicone oil and your cells are affected with the different consistencies. You can get completely different results from having a thin mixture to a thick one, so we will be exploring that as well. So we've already gone ahead and pre-gessoed the canvases that I'll be working on today. If you do want to know how to do that, it's in my previous video. It should be labelled under Welcome to the World of Pour Painting, and the thumbnail says my first video. If you have time, watch the whole video, it's a lot of fun. Just sit down, relax and enjoy that. If you're in a rush, skip 5 minutes into it and watch the gesso process so you can see how to do that. In the future coming up, there will be a video just based on how to gesso a canvas, the do's and the don'ts. So keep an eye out for that if you're really wanting to learn that specifically. So let's start now, and we're going to start with mixing up our thin paints. Also, if you know who this is on my jumper, please comment down below. I really want to see how many people get this reference. So let me know. Okay, so I'll only be doing one colour from each of the varieties that we're doing, just so you get the gist of the consistencies. The only thing that's going to be changing is the amount of water. We'll be keeping the same amounts for the paint, the pouring medium and PVA glue. All of that will be identical, it's just the water we're changing today. So I'm going to start now with our blue. So I'm going to do 30 grams of each colour. Put that in there. 30, right. So if we're doing 30, we want 15 pouring medium. Up to 45. Brilliant. And 15 of our PVA glue. Oh, it's going to be so hard to squeeze out. Which will take the gap to 60. Perfect. Now, again, just a single drop of our silicone oil. That's all you need. Now, let's add the water. Again, this is too much water. We may need to add some more, but we'll start with that. Every single paint you get will need a different amount of water. You could have exactly the same amount of paint, PVA and pouring medium. You would add the same amount of water, but one can go thinner, one can go thicker. It's just the makeup of that paint. So obviously we're doing it too thin now, but with any normal paint, just add the water little by little. Some paints may need you to stir for longer than others as well. Some mix in very quickly. Ones like this, I do find it's more your metallic-y ones. Take a little bit longer to mix, but just keep going, you will get there. Now there may be some techniques where you want the paint a little bit thinner, but we are going extremely too thin. So there is a difference between making it a little bit thinner and making it too thin. Okay, so this, can you see how it's just running off? Like the consistency of even thinner than custard, I would say. It is not even leaving a ribbon, it is just going straight back in. So this is extremely thin. So for our next one, we are doing the perfect consistency. So we are going to be using the fluorescent pink for this one. Let's do our 30 grams of paint. Right, not this colour. There we go, perfect. Then our 15 and 15. That up to 16. Got our 1 drop of silicone oil. There we go. Now, this one I am going to add in just little by little to make sure I've got the perfect consistency. Start with that. The pink does take a while to mix. It breaks up quite a lot, as a lot of the fluorescent ones do. It's not the nicest to mix. What I would suggest is mixing it with your pouring medium PVA glue before you add the water. I know I didn't just then, but that is the better way to get it to mix. And then just keep adding little bits of water in. So that's pretty perfect. You can see as we pick it up, it runs in, it is just leaving that ribbon on top for a few seconds. That's all you're wanting. You can see there it is. Just got that ribbon that just lands there. That's what we're wanting to see. So I'll go ahead now and make up the other two colours. For our last one, we are going to be making these two thick. So again, let's just do our 30 grams of paint. There we go. Same amount as we done last time, just your 15 of pouring medium. 15 of your PVA glue. Take that to 60, lovely. And your 1 drop of pour a medium, 1 drop of silicone oil. Now, tiniest bit of water because we want to make this too thick. Might have to add a little bit more, but let's see. We still need it to come out of the cup. As we pick this one up, can you see it mounds? There. I'm struggling a little bit to run off the... There we go, you can see the mound there. That is our too thick consistency. We may barely even cover the canvas when it's this thick, but I don't want to waste too much paint on one that I know isn't going to work out. So let's just see how that one goes, and I will come back once I've made the other paints. Okay, so we've made up all of our paints. We've got our too thin, perfect, too thick. Okay, so we will bring the canvas over now. We're going to be using our A4 canvases today. These here I got off of Amazon yesterday, so they've come through very, very quickly. £11 for a pack of 5, so I will link those down below as well if you want to get your hands on those. Very good deal. So let's start with our thin ones. The technique we will be using today is called a dirty pour. So we're going to put all of our paints, we're going to layer them in just this jug here and pour them straight over. We have the colours in there now. It is so thin, probably won't even stay on the canvas, but let's give it a go. Afterwards, I'll be using the blowtorch to see what cells appear when it is too thin as well. So let's have a look. Beautiful colours, but this is far too thin, so we're just going to put it up to this corner and down. Okay, can we see how that has pretty much gone into the one colour? Again, very pretty. It is. These colours work so well together, but when the paint is too thin, even when you're touching it there, it's just running off. Right, let's put over the blowtorch now and see if we get any cells. I wanted to bring you in closer for this bit so you can see the cells coming out. Even just so quickly, we're getting loads. Because the paint is so thin, they're all just coming out very quickly, but they won't last. They will spread far too much, and it's just going to go into one big mess there, like that. So if I hold that up, you can see on the sides it's already starting to fall off. You will get a lot of that with thin paints, and if I do this, it's just gonna run again. It is so thin. So that's what you get if your paint is too thin. So again, I'm going to fill this one now with our paints. So this one is our perfect consistency. Okay, now we tilt. Sometimes you just use your thumb to spread the paint. It will help encourage this paint down. So the only thing I would say is I probably should have made up a little bit more paint. But that's okay, we can deal with that. There we go. I'm going to go over this with the blowtorch and let's see what results we get. So those will start beautifully opening up now. There we go. So if you were to leave this over time as well, those cells would still just keep growing. So hold that one up, you can see. And it's not running too much now like the other one did. Yeah, so that is a good consistency. Again, if you don't add the silicone oil, you won't get the cells. So if you prefer it like those big block colours, which I think I do on this one, just don't add the silicone oil. So that's all you do for that. So that there is how to cover a canvas. So that one won't crack and it's not running off. So that is a good consistency. So now I've just gone ahead and mixed up the thick one. I was going to add more paint so I know I would cover the canvas, but then you wouldn't see the full effect of how far the thick one does spread. So I've kept it with exactly the same amounts as we've done for the other one, so let's pour. Now for this one, I'm going to scrape out the rest, just to give us that fighting chance of trying to cover the whole canvas. Right, ready for this? Let's try and pour. Encourage it down. Let's just try and cover that bottom bit there. I don't think we're going to have a chance of covering the edges, but as long as we've got this front bit done to show you, that's fine. So it's barely even moving now, this one. It is a very, very small crawl. There we go, let's just cover that. So that is how it's moving. Pretty much not at all. So, with this beautiful piece, let's use the hairdryer, I was going to say, let's use the blowtorch. And we're not getting anything really. So how the silicone oil works is, if it's the right consistency, it goes to the bottom of the paint as you pour it, and it comes back to the surface, picking up pieces of the other paints and bringing it right back up. So that's where you get those beautiful cells opening up with almost like the gobstoppers when you open them up and they've got the loads of rings of colour. So if it's too thick, it's fighting against it, it cannot come up. If it's too thin, it's just bubbling up and over too much. So if you can see here, barely anything. So there we have our three. Again, just up close. The thin one has, I think it is still even running. So we've got the edges, they've basically all separated. Not a pretty painting. We have some beautiful cells, almost like leopard print on this one. Beautiful cells come out. Very, very pretty. Almost like a galaxy pour, I would say, for that one. Very pretty. And our one that's far too thick has barely moved. Hopefully it doesn't happen to you. It may do. Again, I have a box of ones that have failed down there, so it's all experience. If anything I've said today or shown you saves one of you a little bit of money or a little bit of time, then I've done my job and I'm happy. So that's it from me. Again, hope this has helped. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell because I will be posting quite a few times a week, so you don't want to miss out on new techniques, new tips. So if you could hit all those little thingies, that would be incredible. That would mean a lot to me. So thank you so much for watching again. Happy pour painting, and I will see you in the next video.